This is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the Women's Room, where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good. My guest today is Nancy Schram, the director of the Ventura County Library System, which consists of 12 libraries and one mobile library. I am delighted to talk about libraries because the library, as I'm sure is true for many, saved my life growing up in the backwoods, rural Wisconsin in the 1950s, where there was very little in cultural or artistic advantages. Books and reading were my way forward. I asked Ms. Schram here today to talk about her interest in libraries, how libraries are adept at change, and very importantly, the services offered during the pandemic. We're so happy to have you here today, Nancy.
Hello, Kathleen, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. I'm sure this is very useful information for our listeners. So let's just dive in with the story of why you were drawn to libraries and became the director of an entire system of libraries. Are you a book lover?
I've always been an avid reader. I've always read. As a child, I was read too. I so fondly remember books of my childhood and remember reading some of them over and over. I also have such fond memories of visiting my neighborhood library in the Midwest as a child. A love of books and reading were instilled in me as a young child. In fact, my mother worked as a librarian and a substitute teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was a little girl. And I think that also impacted my view that education is vital and should be freely available for everyone in society. As an undergraduate student, I became an English major. So I studied, the world's great writers and books. And after briefly considering teaching as a profession, I found myself volunteering at the library. And I knew then that it was the career for me. So I enrolled in the Graduate School of Library and Information Science at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. And I've worked in public libraries ever since.
This is too much. I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison.
Oh my gosh, it's a small world.
It sure is. Well, that's terrific. So libraries underpin our democracy. Why? And can a democracy continue to exist without free access to information?
Well, libraries, they stand for intellectual freedom and the right to information. So for so many people, libraries have been the beginning of what is really their climb out of poverty. Libraries are the physical reminder that knowledge should be available and freely shared. Libraries are a place that reminds us that education takes place in many venues and throughout all the years of our lives. Libraries hold a special position in the United States. If you look at the values that make up our country, they are uniquely made visible in our libraries. So libraries are places that, as children, we go to or we're taken to, and then we return again as adults, and we return for all kinds of reasons. We return to find adventure and to learn, to discover, just really discover that vast world of ideas that mankind has created. When people ask me this question, I often like to tell them about something called the Library Bill of Rights, which was adopted by the American Library Association in 1939. And it's a statement expressing the rights of library users to intellectual freedom and the expectations, the association places on libraries to support those rights. So it's something that all professional librarians are aware of, and I think sometimes our customers are not always aware of that. So without free access to information, we have censorship. And the suppression of ideas and information that certain persons or individuals find objectionable or dangerous is really censorship. And ultimately, our democracy suffers if censors try to use the power to impose their own view of what is truthful or appropriate on everybody else. So libraries do play such a key role in intellectual freedom, and as a professional librarian, really, I feel it's my duty to support those rights for everybody.
Well, great. Some may think the library is not so relevant as it once was because most people have computers and phones, which give them nearly instant access to much of the information of the planet. Now, is the library more relevant than ever, and why?
Yes, libraries are extremely relevant today. We are constantly changing ourselves to meet the needs of the communities that we serve. So that is what we are committed to. Just providing our communities with as many services as we can and in as many ways as conveniently possible. So when our communities change, we are ready to change as well. We are generally excellent at being very flexible and nimble to meet the changing needs of our patrons and our communities. And so that's something that generally libraries do very well. You know, as far as relevance, libraries are more relevant than ever today. We're really becoming community hubs and centers of civil engagement and learning. Currently, about 50% of our collections are now in electronic format. And so library spaces that were once filled with bookshelves can now be transformed to provide space to offer other types of programs or collaborative learning spaces. So increasingly, libraries are not only a place, but we can access information online. So we have books and videos that we can access from our homes at the library. We have access to a 24/7 virtual library online. And we're really committed to that virtual library in creating the same sense of community and ownership in the virtual world that our communities feel in their neighborhood libraries. So the fact that there is still a digital divide in this country and here even in Ventura County means that people who do not have access to that technology to participate in today's world could be left behind. And the library is a place, really one of the only free places where everybody can go access computers and technology. I mean, can you imagine living in today's world and not having the internet if you were trying to search for a job or complete a job resume or participate in online learning or seek telehealth? I mean, there's so many things that we use computers and technology for, and the fact that we provide information in electronic format means our libraries are extremely relevant today.
So during the pandemic right now, you're not able to give that a computer service because the buildings are closed, or is there some other way of accessing?
Yeah, right now our libraries are closed to members of the public. However, we offer Wi-Fi service that reaches outside our libraries.
Uh-huh.
So at some of our libraries, we have people who come up and maybe sit on benches or sit on the lawn adjacent to the library, and uh, during daytime hours, they can access the Wi-Fi connection. So we've seen, I was up at the Fillmore Library, for example, a few weeks ago, and I saw some students sitting there and they were clearly accessing the Wi-Fi to participate in school and in online learning. But we're also checking out to customers Wi-Fi hotspots, and we've just started a Chromebook lending program. So we're now able to actually loan out to members of the public computer kits. And in these kits, we have a Chromebook, we have a Wi-Fi hotspot, and chargers so people can use them at their homes and connect to the internet that way. So
Oh,
we do really want to get back to a point where we can open up our indoor computer labs, but we are finding creative ways to make computers and internet accessible. We also have a mobile library that has visits throughout the county, and that mobile library also serves as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So it's a Wi-Fi on wheels. And when it goes and it visits location, again, people can come up and connect to the Wi-Fi during the mobile library visit if they need to.
oh, wonderful. And I imagine they can find out when and what locations by looking online, perhaps with their phone at your
Yes.
website.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Our website is vencolibrary.org. So VENCO library.org, and people can visit the Ventura County Library online at that website, and they can see where the closest neighborhood library is for them. And they can also access a whole slate of online services and resources. So for example, we have an online live homework tutoring program that we
Uh-huh.
offer. And people, well, students can connect to a tutor who will assist them one-on-one live online. And that service, which is called BrainFuse Help Now, is offered in both Spanish and English. So
Oh, that's
that's just
wonderful.
one example. It's completely free.
Oh, wow.
And so this is just one example of all those services that we have to offer online for people, even if they can't visit us inside our libraries at this time.
Right. Wow, those are wonderful services. So let's talk about more of the services that are available right now, even during our life-changing pandemic. Now, did you have a disaster plan to refer to when we suddenly were in lockdown? And why are library services even more vital during a pandemic?
Yes, we absolutely had a disaster plan. We also have had since March of 2020 a library pandemic team that consists of library managers and administrators and other staff who get together on a weekly basis. And we talk about our library operations during this pandemic and how we can improve or continue to maintain services as they exist. So what we are doing now is always done with safety in mind. That is the most important thing right now, is to keep our customers and our employees safe.
Yeah.
But we want to look within that environment. What can we do? And so what we've done is just really, if you look at what the library team has done, it's astounding. They pivoted quickly to a virtual environment. Many of the programs that we were offering in person pre-pandemic, we were able to produce and put online for
Uh-huh.
people to enjoy. So for example, we have story time programs online now where kids can log in and connect with their local librarian, and it's an educational fun environment where they can connect even during the pandemic in that virtual environment.
Okay.
So our team has just done such a fabulous job at adjusting and offering these programs in a different environment. We also had a summer reading program over the summer of this year. And again, this is something we transformed to now take place in that safe virtual environment. So we had over 600 children participate, and even some adults this summer in our summer reading program, which is something that our public libraries have typically provided every year. And this is a program that helps prevent that summer slide where children are at risk of losing up to 2 grade levels of reading skills
Oh,
during the summer when they're out of school. So we really want to stop that
wow.
summer slide and have them continue to read during the summer when they're out of school, and encourage them to do that by offering this fun program
Uh-huh.
where they can earn points for reading, and ultimately there are prizes at the end of the summer for children. So it's a great way to encourage participation. We've also implemented a series of STEAM programs online. So these are programs associated with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, STEAM, that our librarians are implementing, and in a fun environment are teaching children skills associated with those areas. And these are skills, things like robotics or circuitry, engineering, things that they are going to need to know in tomorrow's workforce. These programs are very popular. We had, just for example, one program online that had over 6,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And as part of our STEAM initiative at the library, we've also been able to put together STEAM kits. They're takeaway kits where kids
I'm
can,
going to have to interrupt you right here
yeah,
because we need to do a station ID, and
okay,
we'll come right back to that STEAM program.
sounds good.
This is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the women's room where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good. My guest today is Nancy Schram, the director of the Ventura County Library System, which consists of 12 libraries and one mobile library. I asked Ms. Schram here to talk about her interest in libraries, how libraries are adept at change, and very importantly, the services offered during the pandemic. Okay, and we're back. So let's get back to that STEAM program. What is included in those kits that you handed out this summer?
Yeah, we are able to have kids come to the library and take away STEAM kits that contain the supplies and the instructions for completing STEAM activity at home. So it's really a way to provide them with something that's fun, but also educational, and teaching them those vital 21st century skills that they're going to need in the workforce.
What's an example of a 21st century skill?
So those would be things that would be associated with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And it might be coding, for example, computer
Oh,
coding.
uh-huh.
And this is a skill that I didn't learn when I was in elementary school or at school at all. And it's something that kids today are learning, and many of them will have careers where computer coding is essential. It's an essential skill, and so this is something that we can start teaching them and introduce them to on a very basic level with these STEAM activities. And it is, again, then done in a fun environment where they learn, but they also can associate it with potential careers. So we're connecting it to potential careers that they may want to research more as they get older and look into.
It sounds to me like you are in touch with the school districts and you're very familiar with what curriculum, they are doing. Do you see yourself as an enhancement to that curriculum?
The public library supplements our school curriculums,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Uh,
Since 2017, we've given out over 30,000 student e-cards in the county. So these are cards that school districts and schools disseminate to their students to connect to the library's online resources for free. That relationship with our schools is vital and extremely important, and we are there to support our educators, our students, and families.
oh, okay. Well, all this stuff is so exciting. Let's talk a little bit about some of the services you have now. So you have book holds and pickup. Perhaps that would be something our listeners might be interested in. You've talked about the Wi-Fi, but how does a citizen go about getting a book from you nowadays?
Yes, so we are offering curbside pickup of library materials at all 12 of our Ventura County Library branches. And what patrons can do is they can go online to our website, vencolibrary.org. They can search our online catalog and they can place holds on materials in our collection, identify the library branch where they want to pick them up, and then we notify them when those materials come in, and they can come to the library and walk up, and we have a safe way to ensure that we're social distancing and all that kind of safety protocol, have them safely pick up those materials and enjoy them at home. So this is something that's been very, very popular. Our libraries have been very busy, and it's a great way to show that we've been able to provide access to library materials even during this pandemic closure of our library branches.
Oh, and this is something I didn't know about until I was perusing your website to prepare for our interview, but that you can actually download eBooks from the library.
That's true. That's true. eBooks are extremely popular, and they are accessible through the library's website. We have a library ebook platform called Cloud Library, and people can, if they wish, download the Cloud Library app to their device, and they log into the app and they have access to all of the ebooks that the library has to offer, and they can check them out. They can return them just like they would a normal print book. But the one good thing too about ebooks is that there's no overdue fine. So at the
Oh,
end of the checkout period, it just goes away on your device if you don't renew it. You do
oh,
have the option to renew it. So yes, there's a whole slate of ebooks. There's also e-audio books, and these are books for children, for adults, and on a wide range of topics: fiction, nonfiction, so people can access this e-library full of books without ever leaving their home. They can go onto our website and they can get a temporary library card without even coming to the library that gives them access to all these ebooks in the ebook platform.
Uh-huh. So when you check out an ebook, I'm actually a little naive on this. Can you check out, can the library give out as many as are requested, or is there some kind of limit on the electronic aspect of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. They can have, customers can have 10 items checked out at a time as far as
Uh-huh.
ebooks are concerned.
Uh-huh.
And that's why there is the option for people to return them.
Oh.
Most people don't read 10 books at a time, but sometimes, especially if we have children's books, sometimes a lot of those will be checked out in larger quantities. So if you want, you can return an ebook ahead of the due date so that that frees up your account to download another book. But like I said, most people don't have that many ebooks on their account at one time, so it just goes away at the end of the loan period and they don't even need to worry about returning it.
You have this One County, One Book 2020, and it's a community reading program. I thought this was fascinating. And you had the virtual author program with Lisa C.
Island of Sea, absolutely. One County, One Book is a county-wide reading program, and it's about a month-long period of time every year where the library hosts a series of programs and events that are associated with a particular book. So we encourage community members to read one particular book and then get together to discuss themes within that book. And the programs and events that we have are all different types of events. There's a lot of book discussion groups that meet. That's probably the number one type of event we offer associated with One County, One Book. But we also do things like show movies for the community around themes.
Uh-huh.
And the culminating event each year is a author program where we feature the author of the book. So we were very thrilled in 2020 this year to have Lisa C. Do a virtual author program for us and for our community members in partnership with the Ventura County Library Foundation and CSU Channel Islands. They were both instrumental in making that program possible with that best-selling author, Lisa C. And yes, it did feature the book Island of Sea Women, which is a work of fiction, but it's fascinating about the history of women who lived off the small island of Jeju in Korea, and they were divers. They dove for a living, where they would go into the sea and actually harvest things that were valuable and food for the community. So just fascinating, and just one example of the caliber of talent that we've been able to share with our communities because of that One County, One Book program. And we are looking forward to continuing that as an annual tradition at the Ventura County Libraries.
Oh, and we're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you so much, Nancy Schram, for coming in to tell us personally about the many vital services the library is providing during these difficult days of the pandemic.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm happy to come back anytime you would need me.
Okay, this is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the Women's Room, where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good.